Hey people, thank you for stopping by at Building Wealth with Rajiv. There was a bit of pause from my side in terms of posting videos as I was away on vacation to my hometown in India. Here's my chat with Resh. Resh is a full-time investor based in Singapore. He currently runs two NFT funds. We talk about what are his top picks in NFTs, what are the risks with NFTs, what should you watch out for, what is his general outlook on the crypto market because he invests heavily in cryptos as well. I hope you like the content. Please share with your friends. Please do comment on what you think about the content, whether it was useful for you, if you have any alternative view. Also, please smash the like button and follow my channel. Thank you. So NFTs, I think this is something really close to your heart these days, isn't it? And what makes you so interested in NFTs?
Yes, NFTs wise. So currently right now I run two funds. And we've actually I run two funds, two NFT funds, and yeah, we manage quite a lot of money investing in some top quality NFTs, and it's something I see huge opportunity in terms of price appreciation, in terms of the upside to it going into the future. Right, I've learned a lot of lessons over the last year investing in NFTs, and yeah, man. So in terms of it's a very nascent market. It's very new. It's there's so much more room to grow. We're seeing a lot more use cases for NFTs, and I just can't. I want to be part of it because I see something with the potential to go many times higher.
And why do you see potential? Sorry, I just.
Yeah. So why do I see potential? As in, again, with everything that is new, there's always going to be regresses. There's going to be people who doubt and everything, but there is where you find opportunity, right? I always have this. I always believe in this one thing. When everybody kind of agrees that it's a good investment, the opportunity probably has already passed, right?
Mm,
This is a quote that I remember. So in terms of opportunity has already passed, meaning to say that yeah, sure, you can probably still make money by Google, for example, but maybe you'll make 15-20% a year, right? And but hey, if you're looking for gains that can make you you know double, triple, quadruple, 10 times, for example, then hey, you got to go into uncharted territory. You got to go into territories that people aren't looking, for example. So NFTs are very new, and yeah. So in terms of what I am seeing personally is that a lot more institutions, you see big corporations coming in as well. Every MNC is creating a metaverse strategy, and that's something that excites me, right? So a lot of eyes are obviously coming in and actually looking into funding NFT projects, VCs, and everything as well. So there's a lot of money being pumped in there. So again, if you get in the right opportunities, there is a lot of upside to be made as well, for sure.
talk about this fund of yours. How do you manage the fund and what is it about?
Yeah, so basically, I run a fund called Victory DAO, right? So Victory DAO essentially, we invest in the highest quality NFT projects out there, right? Projects that are set out to become brands, and yeah, so that's what I'm investing in for a group of my own personal investor friends, right? So it's a closed-ended fund, so just for a bunch of us, and together, we go into our capital to actually go and buy the best quality projects. That's about it, right? So again, the investors come in, after basically after a year or so, 6 months or to a year, then they get to exit with capital appreciation if they want to.
So is it okay? Now let's go back. How do you go about choosing the NFTs?
So how do I go about shooting an NFT? So very simple, right? So number one, first things first, our fund is primarily focused on investing in blue chip projects, right? So blue chip projects are the ones that are kind of already established. They're the ones that are, very well-known brands, for example. So I have this one rule, right? You invest in projects that have had a track record. You invest in projects that have huge following, right? Good VC backing, and very simply, number one, the most important thing is that essentially they are set out to be possible brands, right? So not just a
Hmm.
profile picture, for example, but they are a brand, right? So for example, if I can give you some examples, there's this one project that I'm invested in called Clone X, right? Clone X.
Okay.
And Clone X is actually owned by Nike,
Okay.
right? So Nike actually bought over the studio which created this NFT project called CloneX. And yeah, so Nike is the brand owners of that. And obviously Nike, with billions of dollars in backing, they're able to definitely build up the entire brand, build up the entire brand strategy into going into the metaverse in the future and all that stuff, right? So it's unlikely something that will just rug pull, right? So there's this terminology in the NFT world called rug pull, and rug pull very simply means that the project just goes just disappears. The founders take the money and then they leave, and nothing ever happens, right? So that's called a rug pull. So again, when you're looking at brands which are backed by MNCs, for example, then there's a future, there's a potential, and you can go a lot further with that.
What are so we talked about this one,
X.
clone X. A couple of others which you have in mind. Which is your, let's say talk about top two.
Yep.
If I have to put, let's say, a few $1,000 or $50,000, what should I be choosing?
Okay, great, right? So the biggest company, as in the biggest company, that everybody should know, being in the NFT and in the space, is this company called Yuga Labs, right? Yuga
Okay.
Labs. So Yuga Labs is a very it's the biggest company in the metaverse industry. It's backed by the biggest VCs in the world. They are the biggest company in the metaverse, and they are the creators and founders of Bored Ape, right? So if you've heard of NFTs, you will know of Bored Ape Yacht Club, right? So they're the ones who created Bored Ape Yacht Club. They also have Mutant Ape Yacht Club, for example, and very recently, I think about 2 months ago, they actually made the purchase of CryptoPunks as well, right? So Bored Apes and CryptoPunks, they were the OG, as in they were the kind of the first runners and the biggest NFT projects, right? And currently, right now, Yuga Labs owns the entire, basically all of the trading volume in the NFT space. 90% of the trading volume in NFT space basically belongs to this company called Yuga Labs, right? So I'll be on the lookout for anything that Yuga Labs actually releases. In fact, my most recent NFT purchase was Other Deeds by Yuga Labs, right? So Other Deeds is very simply they actually released a new NFT to go into into the entire land space, right? So they created Metaverse Land, and that was the most recent project, and that was something that I actually bought into. So I will always be looking out for what Yuga Labs actually releases, and I have high conviction in them because they have incredible VC backing, very big brains building the entire strategy as well, and they've never failed to disappoint, right? So those are the projects that I'm buying, right? So I own a lot of their projects within the ecosystem as well.
Yeah, and you're saying that I think you've been investing in NFTs for a year or so now, right,
Yeah,
Resh?
yeah, yeah.
Now, so what are the lessons? What are the key lessons you have learned?
Um, uh, wow. The key lessons I've learned very simply. Number one is, the space last year to this year has changed so much, right?
Mm-hmm.
The scary thing about this space, and I just want to, of course there's upside and everything, but I just want to be very realistic and tell you the absolute gnarly truth, right? The truth, nothing but the truth. And the thing which I find you know a little bit concerning is that narratives change so fast so quickly, right? Like 1 year in the crypto space is like 100 years, right? Like it's anybody
Mm-hmm.
involved in the crypto space knows that things and narratives change so fast so quickly. One day something is popping and the next day it's down in the dumps, right? Like nobody likes it anymore. Yeah, that happens very quickly in the NFT space. What it was a year ago compared to what it is today is very different, right? Unfortunately, today I'm talking about, as of this video is being recorded as of May 2022. As of May 2022, unfortunately, this game has become a game for rich people, right? Like, to be honest, if you're like, hey Resh, I want to start with $5,000 in NFTs and try to make it and double it and triple it or whatever it is, it's going to be very difficult, right? If you don't have like 5 Ethereum or more, it's going to be quite challenging, right? That's what I would say, because again, uh, where because of information asymmetry, right? Because information goes so fast because of the internet, for example. Once there's opportunity, these rich guys come in and then they pump money like crazy, and the small guys with little capital, they get priced out, right? And so if you are a little guy with a little bit of money, it's going to be, I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's going to be a lot more challenging. Whereas when it kind of was starting out last year, when people were just kind of curious, not really knowing what it was, there was a lot of opportunity, right? Every other thing you bought double, triple, quadruple, for example. But right now the opportunity is a lot less. Do you still see those opportunities? Yes, but you probably have to have quite a bit of capital to see some serious gains. That's the main thing that I've learned, man, and I've seen it change so fast. So it's just like inflation, right? In the group yesterday I was saying that inflation is such a sucker because they make the line get further and further and further, and the faster you run, the further the line goes away, right? It's happening in the real world, right? With properties, with things that you want to buy, for example. Things just get further and further away, and that's exactly what's happening in the NFT space as well, and it's happening at rocket speed. So that's something that is unfortunate, but yeah, it's part and parcel of the game, right?
And that's why you're pulled in the money.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. And what kind of returns, Rash, are you targeting? I mean, I know everything is like a year down the line, NFTs, what kind of return your fund is looking to get?
Yeah, so I think anything less than doubling the fund would be a sham, right? Like, because the thing is, we do have capital, and we are able to invest in the best of the best. So at least doubling the fund is a minimum kind of target that we've kind of set for ourselves. Of course, there's no saying what will happen. Anything can happen in the space, right? So that's something as well, right? And of course, you asked me for another lesson. Another lesson that is very, very important to take note of is safety and
Mhm.
cyber security in this space. The unfortunate thing which we have experienced in every single industry, even with banks as well, is that scammers and all these guys, it's become a full-time profession now, right? This scamming and creating these people doing phishing links and everything has become a full-time profession, because one or two of these times where these scammers manage to get your wallets, they're able to drain your wallets of they make out with millions and millions of dollars, right? Most notably, just last month, Axie Infinity, right?
Mhm.
They got compromised for $500 million,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
I heard that. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so like $500 million and stuff like that. So again, right, even so, like security and making sure that all of that is intact is very, very, very important. It's something you need to learn and be very careful about, right? Because again, when a newbie comes in, there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of greed, for example, that comes in, and sometimes you might have somebody entering your Discord saying that, hey, oh, we have mint yours live here, and you click on it, and then it's a fake link, for example. So you've got to be very, very wary with regards to what you're clicking on and where you're clicking on, for example, because it's a matter of time before you get hacked, right? Like it's that's the reason why it's kind of ugly in this space, just simply because there's so many scammers. You just got to be very careful.
So mostly you buy your NFTs through OpenSea.
OpenSea is very simply a secondary market, right?
Mhm.
So what do I mean by a secondary market? So after it's minted from the original website, then OpenSea is like a listing place where you can do all your secondary sales, for example, right? So yes, some of the times whenever I'm buying stuff on secondary markets, then I'm looking at OpenSea. There's a lot of competitors coming up as well. Looks Rare is another platform that is coming in to challenge OpenSea. But generally, if I'm getting it originally from the site, then I'll go to the original website to kind of mint if I'm getting it at first dips.
And how do you make sure that you get those from the primary market? How do you manage that?
Yeah. So again, there's a lot of different things, right? So sometimes it's through winning lucky draws, through raffles, for example, right? So the recent one, which was the single largest NFT drop in the history, which was the one which I participated in, which was the one by Yuga Labs, for the
Hmm.
Metaverse land, right? So that was the one which I participated in, and the way they did it was they actually asked people to go through KYC, right? So they did an entire KYC to find legitimate people, and they released so all of us kind of applied, and I think there were a million applications. I don't know how many applications there were, but they chose I think they chose nearly about 60,000-70,000 wallets, right, to get selected. So I managed to get in through that, and because I managed to get in, then I managed to actually mint and actually get the NFT.
Amazing. Now, where is the money in NFT? Is it in flipping or is it long-term hold?
Um, Good question. For the good projects, the ones which are potential brands, those are long-term holds. For anything lesser, right? For smaller plays, for example, that's in flipping, right? So let's say for example, if I'm holding on to any Yuga Labs, I'm holding on to my bot ape or my mutant ape, for example, that's really a long-term hold. You don't want to be trying to flip that, for example, right? You just want to have a long-term hold because they give you so many different drops, different dividends in that sense, right? It's just insane. Whereas if I'm talking about smaller projects under 1E, for example, then it's more of a flip, right?
So you're mostly, there is no Solana NFT right now. It's just mostly doing the ETH
No,
NFTs.
so of course, there's Solana NFTs. I've purchased Solana NFTs myself. I think the
Okay.
most recent, to give you an example, right, the most of a real world utility, the most recent Solana NFT that went absolutely berserk is called Steppen, right? I don't know
Mm-hmm.
if you've heard of it, but Steppen very simply is a running NFT where you actually buy sneakers as an NFT and you get rewarded in tokens for running, right? So people
Mm-hmm.
are like, wow, so they are encouraging active lifestyle, and you can purchase these NFTs which are like these sneakers, and as long as you switch them on, then when you're running you get rewarded tokens, right? So they were rewarding you. They created this model where, hey, they want to encourage active participation and having a healthy lifestyle and stuff. So like the more you run and the more you do whatever, you actually get tokens, right? So you get paid for running in that sense. So this is an example of a utility that just went crazy, right? So this was a recent Solana NFT that was released just about 2 weeks ago.
So I think two more questions before. Now, we talked about NFTs.
Mm.
Now, how to make the passive income on NFTs?
So
Is there a way to make the passive income?
yeah, of course, of course. So in terms of passive income on NFTs, there are different kinds of NFTs, right? Different kinds of NFTs, different types of NFTs that you've got to take note of as well, right? So some NFTs allow for staking functions where you can actually stake your NFTs to actually get tokens which are pretty much yeah, pretty much you get it passively, right? So for example, I owned bought if this I wouldn't call it uh it depends on your version of what you think passive income is, right? But for owning the my mutant ape, for example, right? So in my fund I actually have a mutant ape. So what happened was, because I own a mutant ape, they actually released a coin, right? So recently they released a coin which is called ape coin, right? And I received a huge airdrop, right, which was worth nearly about $30,000, right, just for owning the ape, right? So that just I didn't do anything, just because I bought it and I held it, then I received this airdrop for ape tokens, right? So which I could hold, which I could sell, which I could do whatever I wanted with it, right? So that's an example of passive income with NFTs, right? So not all projects have that, but some projects they have that as well, right? So some are like in-game NFTs that you use in your game, and when you're playing the game, for example, that NFTs can actually earn you money, right? So in that sense, that's maybe possibly passive as well. Again, it depends on your version of passive, but yeah, mainly it's through staking and these airdrops.
Okay. And I think if, let's say, I don't want to buy NFTs through OpenSea or whatever, are there coins which I can buy which are representing those NFTs? Does it work like that?
Um, Not really. No, no. As in, no. You NFTs are NFTs, right? So the coins are
Mhm.
coin is a different category altogether, right? But there are coins that are from these NFTs, right? There are coins from these NFTs. So like I mentioned, ApeCoin, for example, now one of the largest metaverse coins in the world, which I was recommending, was, yeah, it's released by Yuga Labs, right? So like I
Hmm.
mentioned, regards to Yuga Labs being the number one biggest NFT player in the entire market space, their coin is essentially Ape. Right. So if you want to participate in the growth of Yuga Labs, for example, if you believe, just like a company analysis, right? So if you believe in the growth of Yuga Labs and what they're going to be doing for the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years, then hey, you can go and buy the Ape token, right? So that's an example. I think that's the best example to use Ape.
Okay. I think last question. Crypto. See,
Mm.
I think we're seeing a lot of drawdowns these days. What's your outlook? I know you're invested in ETH, you're invested in Bitcoin. What's
Yep.
your outlook on the crypto market, and what are the coins you're looking at, or what are the altcoins, the key coins you're looking into
Yeah.
the crypto
So,
market?
in terms of my outlook wise, I have a a long-term thesis, a long-term view, right? So when I say long-term, I'm talking, 5-10 years kind of, outlook with regards to what's happening. In the short term, again, we are doing this recording as of May 2022, and I feel that there's going to be a lot of short-term pain, right, that
Okay.
to be had for long-term sustainability, right? So, I in the group that I'm with you, for example, Rajiv, I just shared a recent post with regards to how people in America, right, the young people, the young ones who are just coming out of university, how they are finding it absolutely ridiculous, right, to start a family, how much they have to pay for houses, right, after finishing their student loans to find a house, and how prices in some places in America have increased 4 times in the last 2 years. It's just crazy, right? So what the government is trying to do with the interest rates and all that right now is they are trying to put a wet blanket over it, right? They're trying to put a wet blanket over the entire equities market, because if the equity, the crypto markets continue just rising nonstop, then guess what? This problem is going to become even more severe, because the rich will just become even richer, and they will just drive prices up even more, right? And that will cause an escalation. And who is the one who suffers, right? It's your kids, my kids, who will suffer, because life will become unlivable, right, in terms of just basic expenses, right? So that's what we are seeing. And we see prices of assets increasing so fast, the line is getting further and further, but salaries are exactly the same, right? When I was out of school and everything, the basic salary was $3,000 Singapore. Right now nothing has changed, right? But prices have just gone crazy. So what I feel in terms of the crypto market, especially even the stock market with growth stocks and everything, is that it's just going to be a very sideways market for at least the next year or so, right? And the price need to come down. The governments will do everything in their power to keep it down, just to ensure that there's some long-term sustainability with regards to living. They cannot stop it from going up long-term. So long-term, is it going to go up? Absolutely 100%. But however, in terms of as of right now, it's just going to be a very sideways-ish markets. We're not going to see any massive gains or whatever, because it's just not sustainable.
Okay.
Right? Sorry, just to continue. However, in the long term, I still do believe that it's going to be huge. I have a thesis, right? And my thesis being, halving, right? So, Bitcoin halving is a very, very major event. And the next one is basically happening in 2024, right? 2024. I think we're not going to see all-time highs, 69K anytime soon, until after the halving, right? Which will be in 2024. So, that's my point of view. And I know that by 2024, there will be another opportunity at life-changing gains, right? Life-changing, like literally life-changing gains, but only if you have enough invested, right? Like, hey, it can go up 10x, but if you only invested $1,000, nothing's going to change for you, right? But hey, if you have a decent amount invested in the markets in solid coins by then the future is, as in, it's, yeah, that can set you up for life, right? So I'm just DCing into my favorite coins, including like Luna, for example. Ethereum is another one that I'm investing into. Another one that obviously got a hit very, very recently, but I think it's still great opportunity is CRO, right? It's another
Okay.
one with good opportunity to go. And yeah, and of course, I also have my bag of what I call my degenerate, my degen coins that can possibly do a 10x or 100x.
So I think what you're saying is the long-term outlook is pretty good and it's time to accumulate good coins.
Yep. That's about it, right? So long-term wise, it's still good, but short-term, don't expect to see anything moving so much, right? It's just going to be up, down. One day you're up 20%, the next day you're down again, right? So unless you're a very skilled trader in this market, you're not making money. That's the truth, right? And that's the same thing for me as well. Just to share with you, right? And yeah, it's just because of how the entire kind of market is, right? So again, I'm not playing the short-term game. I'm playing a long-term game, right? My mindset is long-term. So it's all about accumulating, and seeing how we win in the long run.
Cool. I think, Resh, thank you. That was so useful.